Hello, everybody. My name is Josh, and this is Figo Aesthetics. Today, we're going to be testing out some different materials to run the Bayer Halftone dot matrix on there. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll go over that in just a second. But recently, I had a customer with non-standard hat patch designs. So a normal hat patch design would just have something like this. It's just two tones. It's more or less like a black and white. But their designs had a lot of shading, a lot of gradient in it. So I ran some testing on the M1 Ultra and saw that I was able to get some nice gradient in there, get some nice shading in there. And what I wanted to test is if I could do the same or a similar effect on different material using the xTool S1 40-watt laser. For this trial, we'll be using some different materials. We'll be using Leatherette, that is made for laser engraving, 1/4-inch birch ply that's not treated, whitewash 1/4-inch birch ply, and I'll get into how I do that and the difference between what I do to whitewash versus the borax method versus the baking soda methods that you see out there. Slate coaster that has been sanded and covered in a clear coat, and a slate coaster that has been painted. The first two materials that we're going to try are birch plywood. So this is 1/4-inch thick birch plywood picked up from big box store, in this case Home Depot. This is untreated, so this is just the raw wood, and this is whitewashed. I use a titanium dioxide powder mixed with water. I put it in a spray bottle, mix it up, spray it on here, let it sit for about a minute, wipe it down. If it doesn't have enough of the desired look, I let it dry for a minute, and then I do it again until I get a nice white, even coating. So we're going to run these at the same time using the same settings. Now, sometimes when you spray it with water like that, it raises the grain and it can cause it to get a little dusty. All right. Let's see if we can get both of those in there. And what do you know, we can. Clip these down just so they don't move. You know what? Let's put it in the corners. That way we have plenty of space to run our engraving. All right, now all we need to do is put our design in there, make sure we have everything laid out correctly so we have the right spacing, and run the test. Now that we're here in the studio, I'm going to bring in my image. I use this image a lot for my test. I call him my test turtle. So I already have the settings set to 65 power, 350 speed, the bitmap mode on Bayer. And what that does is it gives you a halftone dot. It's a little bit larger than what you would see with Jarvis or some of the other ones. And my lines per centimeter, we're going to run it a little high for wood at 140. This might be a little low on some other materials like acrylics or the slate coaster, but I'm going to run everything at the same settings as far as on Bayer and lines per centimeter. I will change the power and the speed settings for the appropriate material though. So we want to go ahead and get all of our measurements, set this up so that we can see exactly what we're doing. If you notice, when I mark things out, I'm excluding where my clips are, and I'm making a small separation between the two different boards. And this will just give me my area. I'm not worried about it being in there slightly crooked or a little misaligned. So we're going to make this a little bit smaller. Let's do 4 inches. And since we're doing the same exact thing on both sides, we're just going to copy and paste. We'll keep these fairly close, that way it limits the amount of time that the machine is running, as it has to go back and forth. All that's left now is to run it. See how long it's going to take. And waiting 25 minutes. Let's see if we can do better than that. Let's go back. Highlight both of these together. User defined. Let's go from bottom to top and all together. Let's see if that. See if that makes a difference. 25, no difference. All right, well, let's let it rip. Have you liked and subscribed yet? What are you waiting for? Do it now. Now that it's done, let's open it up and take a look and see what we have here. So this is the whitewash one. Looks pretty good. You can still see the grains, which I don't hate because it looks like sun rays coming through. And this is the non-treated one. So if you get close, you can see the dots in there. But it doesn't look that bad. When you're a little bit further back, it does look dark. This one, a little darker than the natural one, but has a higher contrast due to the white. Since we're done with these, I'm going to go ahead and remove them and put in a piece of scrap leatherette. As you can tell, I've been running a lot of patches on here, so just get that in there. All right, we'll head back into xTool Studio, fix our settings, and let's see how it looks. Back in the studio, I've already marked out the area. Obviously, this is going to be too big, so we're going to have to resize it, which is fine. Most patches that you run are going to be around 2 inches tall.
So we'll do it just like that. We don't want to waste a lot of area. So we'll just set it over here to the side. Yeah, a little bit of a cutout as well. Sure, why not? Oh, we need to change our material to PU leather. The 80 and 16 should cut it out. Let's check our engraving here. So typically I use Jarvis. I'm going to switch it over to Bayer and do 140. Let's run it. 5 minutes and 42 seconds. Now that it's done, I cleaned it up with a little bit of LA Awesome and a magic eraser, and it looks pretty good. Now, if you look real close, yes, you can see the dots. These are halftone dots. They are much larger than the Jarvis dots that you might see. But on a material like this, it allows you to get that shading and the gradient that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get. And now it's time for slate coasters. This slate coaster, I used a clear coat, I used a spar urethane, and this one is painted. I painted white layer, 2 layers of white, and then 2 layers of black. You can see there is a jasper hair there. So this wouldn't be something that I could sell. I would have to make more if I was doing this as a production piece. So I'll meet you back in xTool Studio. We'll get everything marked out and get our images in, ready to engrave. All right, now that we're back in the studio, there's a couple things that we need to do. This image is not going to fit perfectly on a slate coaster. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark out where the coasters are, and we're going to use the masking tool to make sure that we get the image correctly on there. We also need to make sure that we switch over to Slate, Rock Stone. There we go. Now I'm not 100% sure the settings for the painted coaster. That's something that I've done on the M1, but I haven't done a whole lot on the S1. So we're gonna find out. All right, now that we're done, we have our area here. We know where we need the images to be. So we're going to resize this. Let's do a height. The coasters are about 4 inches by 4 inches. Let's do 3.9. So now we're going to use the masking tool. Let's see. Move that up. I want more of the turtle's face closer to the center. That's good. Now we're going to highlight both and mask. That looks like it's just barely going to fit. So we're going to resize this to 3 1/4. So that should fit right in there. Now, let's look at our settings. So I do have a slate setting that I use, but it's in Jarvis. So what we'll do is we'll use this same setting. We'll switch it straight over to Bayer. We'll keep everything, well, We ran this at 140 on the other ones. And what this is doing is all the small little halftone dots, it's changing the actual size of them. So let's bring this one over here. So this is the clear coat one. This is the paint one. So I'm not sure exactly if these settings are going to work, but we're going to find out. So one way to look at how large the dots will be is if you go into processing. Oh, I gotta turn the output on. All right, go into processing. And then view the processing path. This takes a second, but then you can see it, right? So then you zoom in, you start seeing the dots, right? So you can see the size of the dots. Okay, so if we go back and we set this to, let's say 80. The dots should increase in size. Yeah, see, it's a much rougher image. So if you want to use this method, but you still want to have a smoother look, you can increase the line screen to decrease the size of the dots. So if you went up to 200, that should give you a pretty smooth look. But it's going to take much longer. So for 2 coasters, it would take almost 25 minutes. But definitely smaller dots. There is one thing that I completely forgot. Since this is black, the Slate coasters are black, we need to invert the images. So let's go ahead and put this back on 140 where we had it. Guess we'll have to do one at a time. Adjust and invert. Do the same here. There. All right, only thing left to do is run it. Let's see, at 140, 22, 16 minutes. Okay, not terrible, not terrible. All right, guys, it's done. Let's see here. So again, this is just the clear coat, and this is the painted white and then black. So let's pull these out and get a closer look. So as far as the clear coat goes, this is one that is done using Jarvis. So the dots are very fine, they're very tiny. Versus with the Bayer method, the dots are very pronounced. You can see them. It still looks good, but I would much rather go with this one versus this one. Now with the painted coasters, if you've seen one of the other videos that I've done, go over doing multi-layer painted. So we'll compare some of those. So here where it's big, bold lines, this one using Jarvis, and then this one using the Bayer. Now, the biggest difference is in the shadows. You can see here on the painted one, it doesn't go all the way through into the shadows, so it creates a matte finish. So a different look. Where here, it's definitely going all the way through and creating the shadows using the dots.
All right, guys, that does it for today. Thanks for watching this test video. Let me know what you think about using this Bayer processing method and if you've had any results with it. Until next time, thank you. Recently, I had a customer reach out. That's terrible. It's terrible. Why would you do that?